I'm excited for all of you to meet Mike Williams. Mike is with Evonik and is the current vice chair of the AOCS Surfactants and Detergents Division. Mike has been involved as a session chair for 7 years and has served as vice chair for the division since 2018. In this role, he is responsible for the overall technical program of the Surfactants and Detergents Division and leads all the session chairs in this area. This role keeps him busy, but today he will tell you how it has benefited him as well. AOCS thanks you, Mike, for your passion, leadership, and keeping a sense of humor through it all. Mike, welcome.
Hi there, I am Mike Williams, as Janet said. I am the current vice chair of the Surfactants and Detergents Division. I hadn't thought about it, but as Janet pointed out, my position is one that you actually have to run for. While I've never actually actively campaigned for mine, it is one of those positions that is required to be voted upon by the members. So today I want to tell you a little bit about how you can help not only yourself, but the division that you're part of grow, and what being a session chair can do to help you. First question you might think about is, why would I even want to be a session chair? The first thing that comes up is, well, you can help the division itself. The AOCS really exists to help us, the technologists, the formulators, the marketers, the chemists. It helps us do our jobs better. We are really the technical arm of the surfactants and detergents industry. And that's what the S&D division is for us. How can you actually help the division, and how can you help it grow? Well, when you're a session chair, you actually mold the session topics. As the vice chair, I develop the general ideas, and these are the things we want to talk about, and these are the areas we want to cover. We then go out and recruit our session chairs and say, okay, here's your topic. And then that's kind of it. It's up to the session chair to go, how do I want to shape this? How do I want it to be? And the session chair gets a whole lot of input then on the people that they invite. They can choose from talks that have been submitted, or they can go out and find speakers and people that they want to hear. And by going out and finding these people that you want to hear, you really kind of help shape what the knowledge that is coming into the division is. So that's how you can help the division itself. What can it do for you? Well, it helps you grow your career. When you're a session chair, it really forces you to expand your knowledge base. Now, when we're choosing these session chairs and assigning who they're going to go to, or what session they're going to be part of, we really try and make it be something that is in your wheelhouse. If it's not in your wheelhouse directly, then it's in an adjacent area. And so it's not a matter of, we're going to take, say, an analytical chemist and ask them to go chair a session on plant process development. Not going to happen. We really try and make sure that it is something that is interesting to you. And so when you sign up, indicate if there's a special area that you want to talk about. Now, as you're building these sessions, you really kind of need to learn what's going on with not only the people, but the whole idea. And so you're learning constantly as part of this. And part of that constant learning helps in your career. So now, something about the session chairs that I find, interesting. When I was a session chair, it was a very different experience for me. I know the first year I was up there, I was a little bit nervous, because when you're sitting in a session, you sit there and you're listening and you go, okay, this is cool. And you go write your notes, and your mind drifts for a second. And then you come back, go, okay, what I missed, and you keep going. However, when you're sitting up there and you're a session chair, or you're sitting in front of the computer, you need to learn, you need to pay attention. You need to be taking notes. I remember a couple years ago, Brian Grady and myself put together a hot topic session on general surfactant knowledge. And it's an area that both Brian and I knew well, but we brought in a lot of outside speakers. And he quizzed me afterwards on why I was taking so many notes. What I was doing was, as I was sitting there looking at the audience and the different speakers were up there, I would see quizzical looks or people kind of just going, huh, what's that all about? And I'd be taking notes on what the speaker was talking about so that I had leading questions that we could go back and ask the speaker. So you really have to pay attention. And like I say, you do learn a lot. Now, the personal side of things. As scientists as a whole, we tend to be pretty introverted. There are those of us who are extroverts or work extroverts, but we tend to be introverted, and that tends to keep us from wanting to do things like speak up or volunteer. Don't be afraid to, because being a session chair, one of the best things it does is it helps get you out of your shell. It helps you talk with people. It gets you known. It helps build your self-confidence. If you're introverted, you may not want to put yourself out there in your work life, but by being the session chair, it helps open that door a little bit, and it's just a little step to help you get on that journey to being a little bit more of a work extrovert. I'm not saying you need to be an extrovert to do the job. It's just one of those things that will help advance your career. So because an introvert at work is less likely to advance more than a extrovert, or at least someone who gets out and speaks up and speaks their mind a little bit in a good way. So what do we look for? What qualities are good? The ability to speak clearly is something that is nice, but once again, it's not a have to have. You have to be willing to get up and speak in front of people. It's that willingness that we really need. There are some commitments that you have to make. Like I said earlier, we try and match people with their desired topics and in their fields of interest, but it may not always be an exact match. So you got to be able to roll with it a little bit. Other commitments. There are usually monthly meetings that you have to attend. In the very first part, it's maybe one a month that you got to worry about. And in the first part being July, August. As you get closer to submission deadlines, there may be 2 meetings a month. And then your workload ramps up a little bit between November and January. But then it drops off until the annual meeting again. Overall, over that, I'll call it a 12-month period, but realistically it's a 10-month period. As a session chair, you'll put in between 30 and 40 hours. So not too bad, maybe an hour a week at times. Now this 150 number is just what the S&D division needs. I know Janet spoke about needing over 500 volunteers for the annual meeting. As the S&D division though, we need like 150, whole lot of people. The very last commitment you have is, in my opinion, one of the single biggest benefits of being a session chair. You have to attend the annual meeting. You have to be there. I know in a lot of companies, in order to attend annual meetings, you have to be doing something. This gives you the opportunity to do something, to be part of the annual meeting. You then have a reason to go. So that is the biggest perk, in my opinion. How do you volunteer? Well, you complete the technical program survey and you say, yeah, I want to be a session chair. If you are currently a session chair and you want to re-volunteer, I believe that those people have gotten emails saying, are you interested again? Or attend one of the roundtables. The last thing you do, send an email to me or any of the other division leadership team. Currently, it's myself for S&D. Keith Jenko is the chair. Sonia Natali is the secretary treasurer. And there are other positions that you can do within that too. So with that being said, let me know if you got questions about what other times or commitments or things being a session chair would really mean. And with that, I'll send it back to you, Janet.
Thank you so much, Mike, for that information and for those sort of insights. That's really good. As you were talking, I was thinking about a conversation in one of our little mixers we've had during this annual meeting. And it was kind of like someone asked, how do I know if I'm qualified to be a session chair? Like, how do I know I'm ready? And I thought maybe you could kind of help answer that to give somebody that. What would you say if someone asked you that question?
The first thing is the fact that they're asking means they're interested. You simply need to have that interest and desire. It is not hard to be a session chair. You just have to have the willingness to do it. The other thing, we always pair session chairs together. And in the event, or not in the event, but when new people are session chairs for the first time, they get paired with an experienced session chair. And that experienced session chair helps guide them along. And so it's a learning experience, and it can be a learning experience because we all had to start somewhere. Just the fact that they're interested says they're ready to be a session chair.
That's a great answer. And another question regarding folks who are from industry or academia or government. Does it matter? Or, what's been your philosophy as a vice chair as far as trying to pull together a team of people from different backgrounds?
Over the past couple of years, when I came on to the division governing, not the governing board, but the division leadership team, our theory has been no more than one person from the same company, and we try and get an even mix of academia, government, and industry, so that it's a nice mix of people. And sometimes it works out that you do have to have two people from the same company because these are the people that want to be the session chairs, or they're the only ones that actually volunteered. We do have years where it is hard to get volunteers. I'm going to say this year was one of the harder years to get volunteers because we didn't meet in person last year. That whole in-person impromptu talk is what often spurs people to join or to want to be a session chair.
Excellent. Yeah, no, I think that's really good, Mike. I appreciate that. And hey, we've already got someone who's volunteering. They said they want to be a session chair. Mahesh, thank you. And just to clarify one point, we have 10 different divisions. So Mike is specifically with surfactants and detergents. So each division has a vice chair, and then they oversee all the session chairs. And then 150 total is for all divisions. So otherwise, it may have felt like 150 set to volunteers to get this year, Mike, but it's really. Exactly. And also I do have one last question for you. Can students participate in these volunteering opportunities?
Yes, they can. The only requirement, like I say, is that they have to be at the annual meeting. So if they're a student and they can get to the annual meeting, yes, please come on up. I know we have at least someone who's doing a postdoc this year who is a session chair. Not the same as a student, same general category though. But like there again, they have to make sure they can get to the meeting.
Absolutely. Great. Well, Mike, thank you so much for your time. We're going to get ready here for the next speaker.
Thanks.